have a delay? Yeah,
There you go. Yeah, I think we're okay.
yeah, there's a bit of delay. Okay, so Sean, I do have some questions for you, but
Okay.
don't feel pressured to answer all of them. We could just go through them bit by bit.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Oh, we actually live round. I'm gonna check to see. All right, Sean. So I'm curious to find out from you, how did you get your business started in the first place?
How did I get my business started? Do you want like
Yeah.
the Spark Notes version or like the
Well, you could
long
give me the
version?
spark notes, and then if there's anything I could dig in a little deeper.
Okay. Um, so I think it was in high school. It was my dream to open up my own gym.
Yeah.
I started weight training and stuff because I played football, like American football,
Mm-hmm.
and then it became my passion to research the science behind it, and it was more so just a hobby. And I always knew I was going to go to. I thought I was going to go to university for business, and I ended up with my third and last choice, which I almost threw away for university, signing up for kinesiology and health sciences,
Okay.
which I got into, and I ended up taking that course. And then I thought, hey, maybe I'll put my passions together of business and fitness and open up my own gym. So from high school, I knew I wanted to. From there, own personal training company when I was in university, and it was kind of like a mobile training company. It was just me. I didn't have a gym or a facility. I kind of went around and tried to train people where they were, where it was most available to them. I posted ads like the old school way, like posting flyers on telephone poles and stuff around my university campus, and then I got my first client. And then from there, I got a job at a gym, a personal training facility, somewhere in Toronto, Midtown Toronto.
Okay.
And then eventually, me and my current business partner, who I went to elementary school with,
Mm-hmm.
got together and we're like, hey, why don't we? He's a chiropractor, so why don't we put these two things together and like start up our own facility? And we actually started in his driveway with just a big tractor tire and an empty beer keg and a sledgehammer, and we would train people out on the driveway in the
Oh my
summertime.
gosh. That sounds like
Yeah,
so
we
much
made.
fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Like lots of cars stopping and good good foot traffic. People walking by asking what we were doing, and it became like a weekly thing. We made some cash, reinvested it back into our business, bought some equipment, and
Yeah.
we had a gym in his garage, and then slowly expanded to our first place.
There are a lot of people, there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there that know that they have this idea inside of them, but they're not doing anything about it. You just went out and did it. You said you just had a driveway and we just had a couple of tires. Like, where did you get the boldness to just do that?
I think it's, for me personally, I know if I have too many plans, like if there's like a plan B and a C and a D and an E,
Yeah.
it's just like a way for you to, it's an excuse almost. If plan A gets too difficult, there's always plan B and C and D and E, and you don't really focus on doing something.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just plan A, that's it. Like, I'm not worried about plan B. I'm going to put everything into this and go for it.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I was on the other side. I was the kind of person that had a lot of plans. I had like 5-year plans, 10-year plans, 20-year plans, 50-year plans. I knew what I was going to do when I was retired and all of that. And guess what? I am not living that life anymore. For me to think about what I thought my plan was because I'm 33 now, I'm not doing what I plan to do. And what it is because I became that person. Like, I had all these plans and I wasn't executing on any of them. And it became like I needed a perfect plan and I needed to do this. And then that is not going to work out because something else is not going to line up. And finally, there came a day that I said, that's it. I am done. Because of all my plans that I had, I was like trapping myself in this box, and I couldn't get out. And I hit rock bottom. I'm like, I need to get out and start doing things. So now I will do a little bit of planning, but I'll just go ahead and do it. Like this thing that we're doing right now, we basically came up with this idea over the weekend, and we're doing it. So definitely doing is very important. And how, I know you're not like a big planner, but how much does planning have to do with your business as well? Do you do a little bit of planning, you test, and then you go on, or how does that work for you?
I think for some aspects more than others. Lately for myself, personally, I've found that I used to do a lot of planning. Like I wanted to get everything perfect before I even invested the time or invested the money in pursuing it. But then, like you said, when there's too many plans or you're trying to get things perfect, nothing really happens. And you kind of like overthinking it. There's always a new problem that you have to solve before starting it. So I've found that lately for myself, the less planning I do, I get an idea. I know generally in what direction I want to work towards, and then I just go. And that has actually saved me a lot of time, and it's saved me a lot of, like I used to be restless, like really restless. And I find that when you plan a lot and there's no action, there's inaction, it just makes it so much worse for you. Like it's so much harder on your brain. You think nothing is getting done rather than like picking 3 things and just doing it today.
Yes.
And like, at least you get it done, and you're way farther ahead than you would be if you just sat there and did nothing.
Yeah. Do you have a general vision of where you want to be in business? Like, what is your vision for Catalyst Training?
I do want to open more locations. So after I'm kind of satisfied with how things are going here, my dream or my overall vision for this specific business is to open more locations around the city or outside of the city.
Yeah. Would you go global?
Yeah, if things are in place, like the systems are in place to do it. If it's gonna really cost me a lot of time and energy and be more of a headache than it is gonna be like a business, like a positive business expansion, then probably not. But yeah.
Do you have any vision in terms of when people come into your gym? Like, do you have a specific intention for them? Like what I mean by that is like, is there a specific person you're looking to train, or are you open to everybody?
We're generally open to everyone. Obviously, we have like a main demographic who we target our advertising and marketing towards.
Yeah, what is that? What's that demographic?
For us, it's kind of like mostly females between the ages of, I would say, 30 and 45.
Mostly females, 30 to 45. Yeah. Now, how did you come up with that demographic?
Probably over years of, in the beginning, we accepted everyone, right? And it's like, for us, like our gym is a very family atmosphere, like family-based gym. Everyone's welcome. But from a business standpoint, looking at the numbers and looking at the area, like the demographic of the area, and like what kind of training that the people want and what do we offer, we've noticed that most of our customers and the best bet that we've had with attracting new customers are in that specific demographic.
That's actually really interesting, because I've been in the business world for a long time, and what we used to do is we used to target a specific demographic. Like we would paint a picture of who we want to cater to, and then we'll do all our businesses around that to attract that person. But what you did was actually the reverse. You answered to your customers. So both are really good. And your way, are you finding that? Are you finding that now you have identified that core client? Are you doing a lot of marketing towards attracting that particular person?
Yeah, I don't think we're like super hardcore on marketing
Yeah.
as we should be or as we could be.
Yeah.
But over time, definitely we have moved towards directing some of the marketing or marketing efforts towards that specific person, like you said, like an avatar of a person, like a specific, like an imaginary person of like, what would she want to see?
Yeah.
And what you want from her service.
What we used to do back in the company that I used to work at, we had avatars and we used to name her. So like, what, do you have a name for her?
No, have not, but maybe we'll create one.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
so
like
fun.
that's
It's
how
like,
we refer to her.
like what would Carrie say? That kind of thing. We actually had we had a drawing of the person, like our
Carrie.
demographic, and then every time we will do meetings around what kind of product we want to select, and we have like an empty chair for Carrie. Like, Carrie, what do you think what kind of fashion do you want this year? So it's also a lot of fun for us too, because sometimes when you're discussing a lot of analytics and a lot of numbers, it gets a little bit tiresome. So it's good to like put a little face. Well, maybe we could have a little avatar with a little name there too.
Yeah, I'll get someone else to draw it. I'm not a good drawer, but we'll draw someone.
It's like a little stick figure and name her something. Name her a fun name and see how it goes. So I do have a question from one of our subscribers. And he's asking, Ken is asking, he says he feels like he's in a funk and he just doesn't want to do anything. Like, what can he do to get out of it? In general, like he's not motivated to do anything, doesn't want to do anything. But he wants to, though.
But he wants to do something.
He wants to do something. He didn't really specify anything in specific. But I guess for you, in the world of fitness and entrepreneurship, like how do you get outside of your funk?
Yeah. I would say my advice would be to do something different. I think funks happen when you're constantly striving for a specific thing and you can't get there, you haven't got there, the things that you're doing aren't working, and you keep doing the same things over and over and over again. And like, that's what a funk is in training. You're not achieving your goal, and it's like you're probably doing the same things that you've done in the past or the same things that aren't working. So my best suggestion is to do something different, like do something completely different. Like getting in a funk, trying to achieve something, maybe just change the something for the time being, and make progress towards that. Because if you don't have a specific, like in his situation, maybe it's not something specific, or maybe if it was, maybe pick something else and like change your scenery, like break the pattern and give your body a little bit of a refresh, and could relight the fire.
Relight the fire. Have you felt that before? Like you're in a funk and then you just don't want to do anything? Oh
yeah, definitely happens once every so often, like more frequently than I'll care to admit, but it happens both for business and for training.
Okay.
In those situations, I usually have to, like, when it happens to me in business, usually my family members or someone else will have to tell me to take a break or do something different. And it does help for me to like clear my mind and do something.
So you mentioned that you have family or your friends will tell you like, well, you need to do something different. Do you have a close knit of people that you trust that will call you out when you are in a funk?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely my wife and my parents. Yeah, my dad usually knows when I'm like not feeling it anymore, like I feel very stressed and like nothing is really happening, and it's like spinning your wheels. And he usually tells me like, do something else, like relax, go like do something, clear your head, because you sitting in front of the computer, or you like drilling into the same thing over and over again when it's not working is only going to make things worse.
Now, how do you build that trust with people? Because I have people come up to me and say that I don't have a group of people that I can trust, or they can trust that I can take their feedback? Like, how do you build that? Is it something that's always been natural for you? Or do you say that please call me out when I'm not feeling like myself, or I'm not appearing as myself? Like, how did you build that trust with them?
Mm-hmm. I think it comes down to who do you trust? Like, who do you trust enough, and who trusts you, right? I like to, although my circle is not super large, I don't prefer to have like a large circle of friends. The people I do have in my life, there's a standard that needs to be upheld, right? Like, and I think over the course of time, even if they're not like your super close friends, you do know in general a certain handful of people that like you would trust with something more than other people, and maybe you can start there. And if they trust you, then maybe it's they could be worthwhile of like a two-way street trusting back.
Okay, so it's more like a gradual trust, and if you trust them, they'll trust you back. I think in my situation it was more, and I have a husband too, and he calls me out on my stuff all the time when I'm not appearing as myself. Like, he's like, you're not being very genuine. And then of course I have a mentor as well that kind of calls me out too when I'm not doing the things I'm supposed to do. I think for me, what it was is not freaking out when they call me out on my stuff, right? If I like, you're not appearing like yourself, I'm like, I don't take that criticism to heart and start panicking, and I'm all in defense mode. Mm-hmm. Because when people are in a defense mode, they're like, well, I'm not going to tell you that when something is wrong, when you're always freaking out. So I think for people who are trying to find a close knit of people to give them good feedback and give them constructive criticism, is not panicking and getting on the defense, I think. And knowing who those people are. You want to have a small group of people that you really trust. You don't want to put yourself out there, because also you have to consider the source. Depends on where it's coming from. But if it's your wife and your family you trust, it's great. And not being on the defense is definitely good. Definitely good for that. One last question for you. It comes from Mike. He says that I used to love playing sports as a workout, but I got injured over a year ago and I have limited ability to move. Motivated to work out again.
How do you get motivated to work out again? I would say we get this a lot at the gym, whether it's injuries or someone has gained a bunch of weight and they want to get back to whatever, like how they were before. Mm-hmm. I think changing your perspective of what you're trying to achieve right now is huge, because for someone coming from, I played sports, now I'm injured, and like if you can barely run, for example, setting your goal as I need to get back to playing basketball or playing soccer shouldn't be the first step. And it gets really, I don't know, it demotivates you if you're setting your goals too high too fast. I would suggest picking something smaller, like taking a smaller short-term goal, changing what your end goal is. Like your end goal can still be your end goal, like playing sports. If you want to play sports in the future, that's great. But right now you have to get to running before you can actually play the sport. And like finding motivation to just get to the next step rather than the top of the staircase right away is a lot easier, and it's a lot better for your ongoing success than it is than like picking an all-out goal and trying to go for all of it.
So changing the mindset around. So when you have a client come to you with the same situation, I'm injured, I used to be a certain way, but I'm now, like, for example, someone has gained like 80 pounds, and they can no longer do the things that they wanted to do. How do you work to change their mindset around versus just giving them the solution?
Well, I think the biggest part of it is managing expectations. So it's people always come to gyms, like not only our gym but every gym, and it's a part of marketing to see like 8 weeks to brand new you, or 8 weeks to you're going to lose 80 pounds. Like,
Yeah.
but certain things are impossible, and setting them straight from the beginning, being honest and saying, even if things are going at 90% of how they should be going, this is what you can achieve realistically. This is what the body can achieve realistically in this time frame.
Yeah.
And like, yes, you can achieve your goal in some time in the future, but honestly, like this is what we can achieve. But it's a stepping stone towards your whole goal, right? I think when people's expectations are too high coming in, even if they make great progress, they're gonna feel down. They're gonna feel like unsuccessful if they haven't achieved everything that they want to achieve in a specific time frame. So managing their expectations of what can actually be achieved is huge.
That is a huge thing, both in the health industry and also in all entrepreneurship industries. Sometimes like we have a huge goal, and when we're not getting there, we feel really stressed out. Like, why am I not getting there? So really focusing on the progress. Like, are there small benchmarks that you make for your clients? Like, say, for example, your client comes in and they want to lose 200 pounds.
Yeah.
What are the benchmarks?
What do we do?
What do you do?
Okay, so usually we start out with setting a time frame. Like, what can you expect given your starting point and given your ending point? What can you expect to lose per week or per month, right? If I give you a per week or per month rate of change, then we can multiply it out to see how long it's going to take to lose 200 pounds. So if you can lose 100 pounds a year, then it's going to obviously take you 2 years, right? If it's faster, great. But I'm not going to tell you that you can lose 200 pounds in 3 months. If it's not possible. So I think the benchmarks that we set or we try and set are what can you achieve in these smaller timeframes? And then from there, we can multiply it out and give them a better idea of how long the overall goal will, right? And it's also based on a lot of factors, like how adherent are you to the program and your diet, which changes a lot of things. Like, do you go on vacation? Like, lots of things, but we start out with in the ideal situation, what is the rate of progress that you can expect? And then all these little things, unforeseen circumstances or foreseen circumstances will affect that rate.
Do you do anything special when they reach a certain target? Or do they do anything special?
Occasionally, like sometimes, like for most people, they just want to eat more food. So cheat days are like a special thing. But like photos, I usually take videos sometimes of my clients when they hit a specific milestone and like a strength goal or something like that. But for weight related goals, not so much. I think over the course of their training life here, or their training experience here, they learn that once they reach a goal, it's not the end. It's usually a stepping stone towards something else. So there's not really a big like hurrah. Like there is like a high five and like great job, but like we're usually like on to the next thing, the next thing.
Yes. So celebrate for a bit, progress, and then go for it.
Exactly.
All right, Sean, we're clocking up close to the half-an-hour mark. I'm really curious to know, what does catalyst mean to you?
What does catalyst mean to me?
Yes.
It means agent of change is the actual definition.
Okay.
And when I created the name and the logo in the beginning of the company, I wanted to be different from other gyms, and I wanted to be that agent of change to affect someone else's life.
Mhm.
And I've noticed that not only do like the training that they do here affects their life, but at the same time, all these clients that come here are catalysts for me. Like I learn from everyone who comes in the door, whether if it's about business or just like how to treat new types of clients or things unrelated totally to business and fitness. It's like a two-way street. And although they come here for my help, I usually end up gaining a friend or CTS family, like a family member out of it. And the people here have changed my life just as much as I have changed theirs, hopefully.
Yeah. How has this changed your life?
I've met a lot of people here who, like, for example, people who I've trained ended up coming to my wedding, right? And like, our wedding was not huge, but there are people that who are my clients who are made their way into this small circle of my network enough for us to invite them to our wedding and like play significant roles, like come to birthday parties and like introduce me to specific people who have taken me, like given me opportunities that I wouldn't have. Like one of my clients, who you know, I think Kim, she introduced me to some people in her industry, and I was able to go and do some speaking engagements there. And that like in that way, she acted as a catalyst for me. And like certain people just like going back to what we said about like motivation and like knowing if you're in a funk or something, like sometimes just words of encouragement or motivation or like, hey, you should do that when you're second guessing yourself is enough to help push you along the path to getting more things done in your life.
All right. So one last thing for everybody watching. How can we all be a catalyst today for someone?
How can you all be a catalyst today for someone?
Yes.
I think it comes down to actually caring enough. I think it's too often people go through life and they see things happen, like someone posts something on social media that they need help, or you see someone that could use your help and it kind of like goes one ear in one ear and out the other. And like it becomes like it's background noise. Everyone needs help. You can always help someone. I think everyone has the ability to help someone in some way, but unless you make the effort to provide your skills or your advice, it's not going to happen. So taking an interest in people, whether it's close to you or people around you, and going the extra mile, making just a little bit of an effort, doing something that you wouldn't do normally for someone, one act is enough to get kind of the catalyst momentum going, and hopefully they'll do it for someone else.
Yes, and we could all be agents of change in our own way, and that's so important. Is for me, I usually, if there's someone that's going through something, I will ask them, you know, hey, what are you going through? Instead of just assuming that I know the answers to everything, I ask what is wrong, and then there we could make some changes. So great, awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna take that with me today and be a catalyst for change for someone in someone's life. Thank you so much, Sean.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.